Good afternoon, dear friends in the great US of A, and good evening to those in Europe. Charlie, I've watched, but have not replied yet, my friend. But thank you for
Okay.
the vids in. Good, yeah. I'm just picking up a little bit of just a little bit of action inside the rim that we could slowly keep working on undoing. I'm not seeing any issue outside the cup. Was there anything sort of happening when you were playing there?
No, I was trying to do it using your process. When I got to the end and there was a high C, I had to like push a little bit, but I was trying not to push anything.
Right, man. Yeah, and don't
But
forget, this is psychology. It's not trombone. It's just overriding that innate desire to kick when we do the change. So
right.
Right, man. So is that new experience for you doing like that?
Every once in a while I used to get it. I used to get that before where I could like kind of get into that zone where it felt effortless. But like I was working on like the Clark Gordon stuff today, and when I start going up a little, I was just doing the first exercise. When I start going up, and I do it like 4 or 5 times, and I started real like this starts to tighten up, like
yeah, right.
it's like and I don't want, and I feel, not that I'm smiling, but I don't feel puckered like I want, like the pucker like I want.
Yep. That's doing its job. Point of difference,
Yeah.
Right, man. Love it. Because I know you asked in the previous session, when I'm going up there, it sounds scratchy. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's like the sound is, it ain't got at this stage, it's got nothing to do with it. And then what you'll discover is when you go into step 2, the sound will start to clear up when you start to give it a little bit of juice, but it doesn't require that. And ultimately, we'll have the focus and they'll pop, they'll sound real nice, and it'll be easy. We've got this ad up. Some of you guys might have seen it, some of you haven't, but basically it's a Windworks ad saying brass playing's no harder than humming. And it's hilarious because some people come back and go, yep, I've always thought that. And others come back. And the comment that I got this morning, that's stupid and insulting. Like, whoa! Said, I beg to differ, it's not stupid. Stupid is saying, I don't like pineapple on my pizza, but I've never tried pineapple on a pizza. So how do I make a value judgment? That's silly. It's not meant to be intended to be insulting. It's just that we make playing really hard work. And I'm like, you've got 2 options. You can have an opinion and reject it and be offended, or you can try it. Then you've got an educated opinion. And another person's gone, I used to be told that by a lot of people, but then I'd give them the trumpet and they couldn't play a note. And I'm like, is that because they didn't know how, or it's not possible? I wait with bated breath. I'm not doing these to get combative. That's the last thing I want to do. It's not combative. It's just inspiring the question. And when you see someone's obvious identity crisis, when I suggest that it might be a little bit easier than what we've been making it, that speaks volumes. And then it's like, well, okay, we can make the assumption that we are the most efficient. All of us here today are the most efficient we could possibly ever be. Or, gee, I wonder. And isn't it interesting these days with social media and the way the world is, that it's rather than going, oh, brass playing's harder than humming. When I play, I find it harder than humming. I wonder why. I wonder how. I'm curious. Let's go find out. Versus that's bull crap.
Right? I actually saw Wayne Bergeron last night. Gordon Goodwin was down here.
Wicked,
and,
right?
And you get to watch him play all night. And there's some activity, like when he blows, but he's not doing this.
No.
He's just but this comes out a little, but he's playing like in the stratosphere. So
Yeah, right.
But he was incredible. It's an incredible bland. Yeah.
Man. Well, I've played Maynard and Waynard next to him, and he played lead on a few of his charts, and he's going, yeah, I'm working, but I know since he came back from his throat cancer, he's tweaked it even more and more and more. There's no way you can play Bergeron Altissimo passively, right?
Oh, no.
You're gonna work, but it's like, this is where what's the optimum that we can do to get that? Like Doc Severson's one of the greats doing that, and in fact, you watch Maynard in the early years before he put on the circus shenanigans to make it look so cool. But in the early days, in the 60s and stuff, he's playing all that stuff, and he's just putting the horn on its face, and it's falling out. You know.
Well, I play with Do you know Dennis No Day?
Oh man, huge name. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's down here, and I play with him all the time in big band situations. And he's not. He went through some health things, so he's not playing way up there anymore. But he's really relaxed, like playing, and yeah.
I'm a learning character. I'm a curious character. And if there's an opportunity for because I did it the hardest way possible for so many years, to the point where I was going to give up. I was that frustrated with it, right? So I'm like, if there was a sniff of doing something more easily, I'd have my hand. I would try anything. I literally try anything to try and figure out an easier way to get the result. And as it turns out, as we start to age, and I'm hearing this from big name pros that I know personally, as they get into their 60s and stuff, the load gets harder and harder, to which they're going, oh, I need to work on my endurance. And I'm like, it's not endurance. It's not endurance. You're not going to get stronger practicing more in your 60s than what you did when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. It's been that strength approach has been working for you, but now as we age, it ain't going to work. You're not going to actually be able to develop more strength than you had. So what's the only other option is to become more efficient, right? And I know that I'm not alone. There are people here that are going, that's why I'm here. I can't fight the fight anymore. So rather than go, that's stupid, that's insulting, thankfully, we've got people here that go, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. Oh, okay. Well, I would get you to consider, which is my mantra. I'm not telling you anything. You decide for yourself. But I'll give you the evidence. And that's what today is going to be really fun after what we did last night. I'll give you the evidence to show you the possibilities to the extreme that I've been able to refine it. And it's a completely way easier approach to playing, based on, what did I see yesterday? Someone said, think different, play different. It's like, that's it. Think different, and we can play different. Sorry, mate.
I'm sorry. Did you find like flexibility as you're getting older, like harder or harder to be as flexible, like through the registers?
Well, so the thing was, I was doing this through my mid 30s, right? Early 30s, because I've been doing it for 20 years. I wrote the book 20 years ago. And what I noticed from doing what I was doing was that my efficiency increased dramatically. My range didn't increase that much at the start. It was the efficiency. And of course, because of the efficiency, the flexibility actually opened up. So I didn't get the experience of getting to the 30s and fighting it, getting to the 50s and fighting it and fighting it and fighting. I'm 52 now, and I've never played easier, right?
Oh,
And I've been saying to the guys doing those gigs, what blew my mind was when I did Singing in the Rain at QPAC, the Performing Arts Centre here in Brisbane last year, and that was after 3 years of not doing a gig, right? Talking my nonsense non-stop every day, demonstrating body's constant, doing all the things. So every time I say it out loud, it's changing my approach. And I literally got there, and the first rehearsal, and I actually felt, now this is a kind of bit nuts, right? But I sat there and put the horn up. I'm about to play. It's an orchestra. It's a professional theatre show, on stage orchestra. And I'm playing lead trumpet. And I felt when I brought my horn up, this, because I do this all the time, you know, I'm talking Body's Concert Hall. And I felt that. I actually felt it. I'm like, that's weird. And I played, and all I felt was this, oh, it was like, I've never played easier. And get to the end of the show, get to the end of the second show, end of the third show, end of the 10th show. And I'm like, this actually works. not that I'm in doubt about it, of course, but to have that experience after so many years, and all it was for years and years and years and years, it's just that psychology of bars tighten down vertically and then have to blow through it. And everything that we're going to go through today is the whole, next year is all about air velocity, air energy through an aperture. And when you discover that feeling of air through, based on that horizontal movement in, lip zip, milk spout, bed sheet, arch tongue, velocity, then the upper range becomes versus, which is what I did for years, right? So I knew even back then, I was saying to my teachers, even at the university, I'm a lip player, not an air player. I'm a lip player, not an air player. And I didn't really know what I meant, but I knew that it was physically ridiculous. My teeth were closing. I was getting headaches. My throat was closing. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew it was hard work. And it was ultra, ultra frustrating. And I was doing every single book, every method, everything for hours and hours and hours, and still hitting the same brick wall. And I'm like, okay, something has to, I'm not doing it anymore. Thankfully, I got headed in the right direction by the universe talks to us, and someone happened to mention something about Arthur H. Bernard and then John Backus and all the physics stuff. Oh, that's how it works. Oh. So the reason that people say brass playing's hard work is because they make it hard work. But it doesn't have to be hard work. Brass playing will be easy if it feels easy. We'll make it easy. And easy, you know, yet we could have a conversation about that. What's easy? But it's nowhere near as hard as what we can make it, because let's face it, at the end of the day, you squeeze your lips together, airlock, you cannot blow your lips apart. So that's the extreme inefficiency. The lips win every time. So at what degree of airlock do we still have in our playing? What can we unlock? And again, that today might shed some light on how to unlock some of that. Yes, Pat?
I just wanted to say, and just to add to what you're saying, Greg, like I'm 2 years into the system. I believe in it completely. I'm nowhere near where, you know, I'm, as you guys, anyway, you saw my teaching Tuesday. I've got a lot of learning to do, but I have been implementing the system occasionally, as I mentioned to you, Greg, and some others. And I have to say, it's everything you say it is. Like I don't have the range developed yet, but when I get it right, it's not effortless, but the two things are, it's very efficient. You know, I can play a lot longer in a certain range, and I could just keep going. And when we're doing these double octave slurs and things in your exercises, I could never do them in my old setup. I've tried, but I can do them with. I'm way more flexible. So
Yeah.
everything you're saying is true. I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but it works. So if anyone doesn't believe it, and I'm not anywhere close to where I should be or want to be, but it works. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome, mate. Awesome. Thank
so
you. It's
here's to the system.
love it. Thanks, mate. I get called a snake oil salesman. I'm not here to bluff. I'm not here to waste time. The last thing that I want anyone to do is waste their time with their practice. I've been there. I know what it feels like to be hitting your head against a brick wall going, why isn't it working? Sitting in the practice in the gig and your chops are falling off and it feels horrible and it's horrible, right? So, I mean, you guys that are here, you know that it's a sincere endeavor to help people get better results with their playing. There's no nonsense going on here. But I just find it fascinating how assassinating it can be to someone's character if you dare suggest that there's an easier way of doing it. And my approach to that is, well, that's making the assumption that you are as optimally efficient as you can possibly be. You understand everything about the system. You know exactly how it works, exactly how the brain and the body work, and you are doing everything possible and making it as easy as possible. Now, if you are, you wouldn't be commenting on this. And I've never said that out loud, of course. I wouldn't say that because it's too confronting. But people that are playing effortlessly and easily won't comment on that post because they go, yeah, it's true, right? So it's just an interesting thing. And so what we're here for is to go, right, if there is any doubt, if I'm having trouble doing that, what am I missing? We're all here. We want to be here. What's stopping us? That's the whole purpose of this. So we want to be able to figure out at what stage we're having problems. What's the roadblock? What's getting in the way? Because there is a solution. Now, generally, the crash that happens here happens because way back here, there's an oil slick on the road and you start losing control first, and the crash doesn't happen until a mile down the road, but the nonsense started earlier. And you guys that have had the magnifying glass out, looking through the playing system and working through the course strategically, go, I recognize that even my sympathetic oscillation, low C, is still a little bit grabbed, because if I close my eyes, really research and take the breath in and drop the body, relax, yeah, playing's not feeling like that. Playing's not feeling like that, right? And that's what we're going to work on today. But before we do, Evo, virtual high five, sent me a video. Brother, I won't play your video, but I would love to, because you guys that know Evo comes on and he had a little breakaway and just need to just chill. Let me just say he's uploaded some videos. They are sounding so good, man. You're just starting out. That is the ballpark sound. Everyone that's on here would agree. If they saw them, would go, yeah, I want to be able to do that, right? So don't get hung up on range. Don't get hung up on technique. You've got the foundation. Yeah. The only thing I'm going to, and I actually didn't see the third one with the harmonic slurs until after I'd emailed you. I saw the two. Just be aware on the harmonic slurs that you are falling into a bit of, it's going up. That bottom lip is going up. We've got to keep it down. And this is at that range that you were showing me. It's at that point where if you keep it down, milk spout out, the corners will come in. And remember, I was just talking about velocity. When those corners come in, that will make the bed sheet vibrate faster, right? So watch it back and recognize that when they sound fantastic, and this is where everyone goes off track, is gone, well, it feels fine and it sounds good, but then I have trouble getting above the stave. Well, the problem is it starts right in this range that you showed me. Guys, Evo sent 3 little snippets, and some were some long tones. One was an Arbon exercise, which is just fantastic. But there were some harmonic slurs. And whilst they sounded fantastic, really concert hall, beautiful, creamy, rich sound, The bottom lip was just rolling. So that's obviously heading to the, I'm going to roll more. Then I'm going to pinch down more to try and get everything to vibrate. And that was Greg 1.0 versus.
Yeah.
So we want that feeling.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was trying to say a couple times. I asked everybody because I knew that the feeling was okay, but I also knew that I was rolling just a little bit, and that's the problem when I get higher, and I got hung up on that, which I don't want to, but I don't know, maybe my top lip is a little bit shorter, so I don't know if I should maybe bring it down with the mouthpiece or not, or no.
There is no quick fix for this. The lips are not meant to do what we're trying to get them to do. Those aperture corners inside the mouthpiece rim, we weren't born for them to do that. There's no quick way. The number one trap you can fall into is go, I'm going to put my mouthpiece up there or down here or over here. I'll try that. I'll try that. I'll try that. That's not going to facilitate a free, fluent oscillation of the top lip. I can talk from authority with this. I kid you not, folks. In my frustration as a cornet player when I was in the Victorian State Youth Brass Band, I resorted to this for a while, and I'm not joking. The top lip was on top of the mouthpiece. I actually did that on a gig. I'm like, sounds a bit thin, but gee, I can play high. That didn't go so well, right? And that was as a 16 or 17-year-old after seeing James Morrison play. As I've said, I will do anything to try and figure this out. I've been there. What I'm teaching you guys is what I've learned, and this is the way to, the best way I know to go. So, Evo, you got to do it super duper duper slow. Lots of this, and this ties into what I want to talk about today. We're not using outside the practice room anywhere near as much as we can. So it's based on the urgency. So I ask all of you individually, what are you trying to achieve and how badly do you want to get there? Is it burning or is it just a slow burn? Oh, you know, we'll see how we go. It'll get there. Or it's like, nah, I want to get this result and I want it now, right? If there is something that you wanted and you've found your error, and that's what we're about today, is error detection. You might, like you saw in the videos, we've even got pictures for error detection, error correction, because that's what we're doing. We've got to detect the error, and we'll find a bunch today. You wait and see. We've got to find the error, we've got to understand it, we've got to recognize that it is an error, we don't need to do it anymore, and we need to replace it, we've got to correct it with a drill. The drills, this is all done outside of the practice room. Why wait until next time you come in here? We've got limited time in the practice room, and we've got this problem. I've had it for ages and it keeps hanging around. And then you might even fix it for a second in the practice room, but then the next time you come back, the problem's still there because we haven't thought about it between now and next time. So the best ways, and that's why I got those pictures of the bouncing jaw or the don't kick the air, because they're such common problems. So we recognize there's a bouncing jaw. In the practice room, this is our assessment period. This is our error detection time because we've got the instrument, we're doing exercise and we're playing music. So this is our moment for gathering the errors. We fix the errors outside of the practice room. Walk around and go, well, I've got a bouncing jaw, but interestingly, it doesn't bounce when I do that. I can do that all day long. My jaw isn't bouncing. So you walk around every 10, 15, 20 minutes, whenever you think of it. Your friends and family might think you're mad, but we're brass players. Don't worry about that. where every time you do it, that's sending a very strong message to the brain. Next time I play, you close your eyes and you remember that, send the message forward. It's the feeling attached to the message of do this next time. Copy this feeling next time. I'm calling it real-time neural reprogramming, right? Real-time neural reprogramming. I do it with all my Dystonia students. It's like there is a point where there is a trigger. It can be this, I'm not kidding, folks. The arm's still, the head's still, and all of a sudden it breaches the force field, I call it, and all of a sudden it comes up to there, and the head starts to pull back. Right? So you close the eyes and you find out where that force field is. Right? And then you slowly move forward and find out at what point the body starts to negatively react. You go, don't do that. So then you walk around with your visualizer, and every 10, 15, 20 minutes when you get the chance, sit there and just go real slow. You might find, it didn't do it, just do that. Stop. 20 minutes later, oh, don't do that, that's not it, let's do a drill. And you can touch the spot that triggers, I call it the off switch. And amazingly, it switches off, right? There, just do that. Next time, I don't have my hand here, feel like that. Then all of a sudden, there it is, next time I'm in the practice room, just do that. Imagine if you did that for 16 hours, for a week, every day. There is no way the brain will not stop doing it. It's not possible because that conscious messaging is in control. This guy here, the motor brain, wants to do the right thing, and it wants to do it the most efficient way possible. Right? He thinks he's doing the right thing. If he's not, we need to tell him, hey, thanks, buddy, but that's not quite it. Oh, righto, what do you want me to do? And then it starts searching. Like when Evo said, oh, I think I've got a shorter lip. Maybe I should pull the mouthpiece down or put the mouthpiece up or something. That's this part of the brain searching. I want an answer. I'm happy to do whatever you want. You just need to tell me what to do. And then don't forget, he's trying to do a lot of things at once. So occasionally he forgets, and that's the error. And you go, hey, mate, you remember how we did that? You just did this. You just went, don't do that. Oh, okay, what do you want me to do? I want you to do this. So you notice when I'm not using the visualizer, you're not doing anything. He goes, yep. All right, when I use the visualizer, do this. Don't do that other one that you were doing. Don't do that, do this. And then you go to use the visualizer and it pulls back and you go, no. Thanks for trying, but you're still doing this. Don't do that. See how I'm doing this? Yep. Next time I bring the visualizer up, don't do that. Just do what you're doing now. Elbow, rotator cuff. And then it goes, and it does it. And you go, yes, just do that. And the amount of successes you have, that's the myelin mile, creating the new neural pathway, because you're saying, just do that, just do that, just do that, just do that. Then when it makes the error, which it's going to do because it's not going to wire straight away, when it makes the error again, you stomp on it. Hey, dude, you just did this. Oh, whoops, sorry, I forgot. Remember what we're going to do. We're going to do that when I use the visualizer. There it is, just do that. Just do that. Oh, okay, got it. You guys might have seen the video of the what's 1 + 1, 2, 3. What's 1 + 1? 3. It's ridiculous, but this is how it works, right? It's finding the error. It's calling out the error. It's offering a replacement. And we offer that replacement over and over and over and over and over. It takes time. So why waste practice time in the practice room working on this stuff when you can be working on it anywhere, right? I hope this makes sense. And if you're not sure, please ask questions. I'll just jump to Kirk first. He had his hand up and then put it down, and I'll get to Evo. Yeah, mate. How are you, Kirk?
I'm doing well. One thing that I think I may be doing too much of is bringing out the bottom lip.
Yep.
Because I've been doing this, and in order to get this to go straight,
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
bottom lip is coming way out, and
Can
that
you-
doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't seem right to me.
No. It's an over activation. It's an over change, but that's okay because we're always going to overdo it, and then we can pull back, right? But there are a couple of other things going on as well, that the head's coming right up and you're moving forward in order to try and facilitate. Your tissue was invisible because of the screen effect that you've got on. So it's kind of funny.
Okay.
You're holding up the invisible tissue. Right. But yeah, no, well, we're going to work on that today. What we're going to do today is going to be very, very helpful for that. Eva, yes, champ?
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that in my particular case, I'm all in with this stuff. Like I want to move on. If I draw the line between 1.0 and 2.0, when I go around our stuff here, I feel that I need time. Like I don't have major mistakes. I just need time to refine.
Absolutely.
Then when I go to the rehearsal and when I go play with people, I see that I have a lot of mistakes there.
That's fine.
So I don't know if the drills, if I should go ahead and look for a drill to repair a mistake in my 1.0 plane, or to go through something when I go with our stuff.
It'll work from both ends. We do the 2.0 drills and they will go across to the 1.0 plane. It will morph, right? So if you recognize the error, that I don't get too hung up on the errors on the gig when you're in the 1.0 performance play. That will change as your 2.0 develops, right? So do the drills based on wherever you're at with your limitations with 2.0, what you're working on, right?
Okay.
And then that will unlock what happens over time when you're playing your gigs. At the moment, the wiring that you've got is the wiring that you have to take to the gig. It's that whole under construction thing with the two buildings. Okay.
I get that.
Yeah. Awesome. So, dudes, what I would like to do now, it turned out last night that doing the lead pipe exercise that we're about to do. So hopefully you've all got an instrument with a lead pipe or a separate lead pipe and a tissue. We ended up doing the 5 ways. Oh, we didn't do 5 ways because we didn't do the poo attack. I'll put it to you just to start off this little section. Can anyone tell me the difference between poo and boo? Poo, boo. My neighbours obviously know that I'm nuts, but I was walking around in the pool the other day just doing laps. Poo, 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 boo, 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 boo. Poo, boo, poo, boo. What's the difference? Can someone tell me? Give you a minute. Say it out loud. Poo, poo, boo, boo. Poo, 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 poo. Poo, 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 poo.
It seems to me like the tongue comes a bit up on the top lip when you're saying boo.
Love it. Ba-boom.
But you roll.
That might be happening, but that's not the difference.
You roll the lips in a little bit to get the B sound. But
You might, but that's not the difference.
Oh, that's what I see.
Charlie's on it.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I say the poo, like my lips roll in a little bit, like he just said, just a little.
I don't have to.
Huh.
You can say poo and boo, and let the lips do the same thing. You can say poo and boo and have the tongue do the same thing. They might be
Well,
different.
Boo, yeah, and Boo kind of pushes the lips out a little bit, like they're pushing out a little bit. Where for me, the poo is like rolling it in, but the Boo is like pushing them out a little bit.
When you find the answer,
I think when you say boo, this part doesn't close as much as when you say poo, it all closes, and boo, it remains open here.
bum bum. Love all the answers. Let me just say, it's got nothing.
Seems like it seems like one other thing that goes on is the poo seems more of the lip zip than the boo.
Fascinating. The only guy that got it last night was someone who runs a choir. The difference is, my friends, and this is the extent that I go to figure stuff out.
That's cool.
When we go boo, the air is at the lips and the voice activates immediately.
Yeah, you know that.
But I'm just going to mute everyone. Sorry, no offense intended. Bananas. When we say per, the voice is delayed. Per. When you do that, now focus on the voice. Oh, it's active from the start. It activates afterwards. Crazy. So I was going to call it a boo attack, because boo actually is an immediate response of the energy through the lips. But that's just going too far down the rabbit hole. Anyway, so we're not doing poo or boo attack for this, because we're going to have something between our lips. So can I please get you to put your lead pipe between your lips? And I'd like to make sure that it's horizontal. Rick, Kirk, you were, yeah, so you're lifting your head up. Can you please make sure that, yeah, you're just, and then this is another good thing to practice, guys. I want you literally thinking elbows. So when you go to lift it up, can you please say in your head, elbow, just elbow? And I see all the time people will go, yeah, I'm just moving my elbow. And I'll go, no, you're not just moving your elbow, you're moving your rotator cuff as well. Just elbow, then rotator cuff. That's all we need to use to pick the horn up. Elbows, rotator cuff. If we didn't use the rotator cuffs, we bend the elbows and that instrument hits here. That's not helpful. So then if we go donk, rotator cuff, really efficient. Donk, donk. The head is heavy, especially my boof. It's heavy. So we don't want it moving around doing stuff. We want elbows, rotator cuff, up. Watch my head. Elbows, rotator cuff. So if I go to play the horn, check out, watch the torso and the head. Elbows, rotator cuff. There's no engagement. It doesn't need to be. The head's sitting there, elbows, rotator cuff, energy through, velocity through aperture corners, right? So even on this, if it's down here, I would like to get you to get it straight out. Now grab your tissue and we're going to put the tissue straight in front of the lead pipe. So to start off, we're going to do lip attack. So you're going to feel the end of the lead pipe with your tongue. Now make sure, please, that we're not sort of on the outside. In. So you basically got your tongue on the end of the lead pipe, right? Look at the power there. So if I'm not seeing it flick right up out of the way, that means that we're not dropping the body and creating the passive compression that we're trying to use to release, to play efficiently, right? So Sean, I was just watching there. It's sort of going to about there, but I'm not getting the big, it's right up out of the way. Now that's not coming from kicking the air. It's from dropping the body and getting that buildup of compression behind the tongue, then withdrawing the tongue. There's a lot of power there if we've got the body dropped. Or in this case, so go again, mate, and let's see if we can really drop the body, get the buildup of compression behind the tongue. That's better. What did you just do differently?
Bigger breath in. That was all. Really, that was it.
Right?
Bigger breath in.
It's that breath in that creates the compression. When I think we can all agree, 100% of the time, if I don't blow the balloon up, it's not going to have compression inside of it. So the breath in, check it out. So much power. We've got a lot more power in the body. So if we get the expansion of the body and then just drop, let go, don't have anything trying to hold the balloon out, then the compression's at the fingers, or at the, in this case, it's at the tongue between the lips. That's where all the body's compression is centered, at that aperture, but it can't get out because the tongue's in the way. Then as soon as you get the tongue out of the way, lo and behold, the tissue flies. So we've got to get that that inhalation. So call it backswing, call it body's concert hall, call it whatever you like. Energize the lungs. Super duper important. Get the breath on. Stephen, can I get you to just lift your bell up a little bit? Yeah, not the whole torso, just using the rotator cuff. Yeah, just get it out a little straighter for me. And I'm not saying that you're going to have to play directly straight out. Most of our anatomy doesn't allow for the Roger Ingram Bobby shoe upstream or straight out. But I just, for this sake, we want to find the airstream and we want it straight out. Okay. Now, what are the possible issues that can be happening here? Especially when the brain sees the tissue, we're going to want to kick the air. We're going to get the abdominals, blow, kick to get the tissue to move. The term independent movement of the tongue. What we're working on here is the tongue working on its own, or the shape, owl, working on its own, or the abdominals working on their own. And then when we play trumpet, they all synchronize, but they don't all have to activate at the same time. But what happens is when we go to tongue, we might bounce the jaw or we might kick the air. So that's where inefficiency comes from. So if we break it down and go, what's the role of the tongue? Well, the role of the tongue is to release energy. The role of the lips is to change velocity, and the role of the body is to just provide the energy, create the fuel, the sound, the flow. All right. And of course, the number one issue that I see is everyone trying to change pitch by controlling flow from the body with no idea of what the mouth is doing. And that creates the compression cavalry. Don't know what the mouth is supposed to do, so I'm going to kick the air, call on the cavalry to come to the rescue. It's not that. So logic says if we can get this happening when we don't have the lead pipe, we should get the same impact on the tissue. Do we? Let's find out. Mr. Bullwinkle, magnificent, mate. I'm not seeing the tip of the tongue through the lips, but I'm seeing a great response on the... There we go. Great. Evo, fantastic. So, Janet, there's a difference in the... It's funny, isn't it? Like we go... So the air is obviously hitting downwards. So this, with what Kirk was saying before, we don't need to go too far out. It's not a roll out there. I'm not going... If I got the lips just in a natural position, it's just that movement inwards. There's no real big pucker. And Dan, that's where Dan went a bit astray for a while. It was too much pucker out. Yeah, exactly. Chin down, corners in, chin down, corners in. No. So if you put the visualizer, the lead pipe, why do I always call this visualizer? There's less likelihood to try and pucker out with this. It's just inwards. In fact, that's quite a good drill. If you sit the lead pipe on the bottom lip and just go, there we go, folks. We're always learning an easier way. That's a really nice way to find shape without exerting it, not exerting it, but overdoing it. Then again, logic says that if we put the tissue there, we should get the same impact, right? If you're not, that's fine. You know what to work on. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Ooh, wow. When I take the lead pipe out, wow, the air hits somewhere different. Ooh, isn't that interesting? Ooh, wow, crazy. Notice the power. There is no kick from the abdominals. There is no squeezing the balloon. There's no overexerting. There's no throwing the arrow. There's no burning the pizza. And who knows what other analogies we come up for next year to try and get the message across that we can do it passively, not actively. For some crazy reason, my brain took me to this last night. I can't remember the name of the... it's not Skyrocket, it's something like that, though. Alan Vizzuti piece. Oh, no, this is Zigzag, right? We'll get to the double tonguing in a minute. But this is all passive at the start, would you believe? Oh, no, I was a little bit active. It's just a bit louder than passive. But that high C there is no body activation whatsoever. Nothing. If you were here, I would put the tips of your fingers on my abdominal wall and you'll go, that's not possible. I've seen it all the time. Because you're hearing this high note come out and there's no body activation. It's like, well, where's the body that's doing the activation to be able to get the note happening? That's not possible. It is possible. The body's for the long note and the loud note. Oh! Happy birthday, dude. Awesome. Dude, well done on your work. Go and have a great day. And love your work. Take it easy.
Love you guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Go. Rightio. So let's move on to poo lip coo. This is a tricky one. There exists the phenomenon of strangeness. So instead of practicing all the things that we're familiar with, that we're comfortable with, let's practice things that feel different. Left-handed golf, for example. Want to learn something? Let's do something that feels really strange and learn it. For the purpose, in this case, what are we working on here? We're working on the passive release of energy through an aperture into a tissue, and then not into an instrument. The passive, not active release. One of these articulations will be more unfamiliar or less familiar than the other ones. So let's find out which one is odd. It might be poo, but we didn't do poo attack. Lip attack. Coo attack. I had someone last night who's never done double tonguing, never done coo attack, right? So if I can please get you to put your little finger between your teeth, tip of the tongue below the finger. Funny, it sounds like a kookaburra. The tip of the tongue stays behind the lower teeth when we say k. Now it can go up. It can roll back. We don't want that happening. We want the tip of the tongue forward behind the lower teeth. Right? So we're working on a lot of things here. Aperture corners. Is anyone finding themselves getting active when they say it, or are you passive? Is the air just falling out through the vocal cords? I don't think there's any need for us to get active. We're curring, but as soon as you get active, it tightens the throat. So I think with the voice, we generally don't get too active. Work on seeing how much you, oh God, we're going off today. See how much you can open up here, back in the concert hall, apart from coughing. See how much you can let go through the system. Because, dudes, this is what it feels like to play. I'm not kidding. All we're doing is moving the oscillation point from here to the lip tissue, but the sensation, the feeling of it's exactly the same. There's no more exertion required to play a lot of what we work on the horn. If you're going to play louder phrases, play for longer, yes, we have to engage more. But once we get these corners working for us and letting go of that lip tissue and getting the milk spout out of the way, the thing becomes easier, right? Right. Now let's do it on the lead pipe. Even put it between your teeth and put the tip of the tongue below the lead pipe. Right, there it is. Bite. This is going to feel weird. Bite the lead pipe. I don't like the feeling on my teeth. Don't know about you. No. Right. Certainly don't bite down. No. But you're getting the feeling of the tip of the tongue staying behind the bottom teeth. That's what I'm after here. Rightio. Now, if we just go to, so just the back between the lips, not between the teeth. There's no kick. Do you find yourself kicking abdominally when you release the tongue? Right? If you've got that compression behind the tongue, it's no different to the lip attack, the poo attack. So there should be this big explosion of air. Tissues up out of the way. Are you getting active? Are you kicking with the abdominals? Or can you sense that the tongue's dropping down and the tissue's exploding because of it? Stephen, yeah, try lifting the tissue up a little bit higher so it's hitting the bottom of the tissue. Yeah, there's still something not, still, it's a short burst of air. It's just a cook. If you say cook really fast, cook, cook, cook. It's the dropping of the tongue down, then picking it up again. Cook, cook, cook. I'm going to open the cone of silence. Let's see what happens. My favorite tech toy in the history of computers is this great little thing that I use until it stops working. So we've got the back of the tongue here. We're dropping the back of the tongue down. The tip of the tongue stays behind the lower teeth. Then it goes straight up, straight away. Now the air's caught behind the tongue. And as soon as you drop the tongue down, it flies out. As soon as you lift the tongue up, it stops again. If you do it super fast, but you've got to make sure you've got the breath on and the body's dropped. If we don't drop the body, then we're not getting the compression. Yeah, so there's a big abdominal kick there, Steve. Yeah, I can see what's going on. Aha. Without even hearing you, the throat must be getting involved there. Yeah. So what the tricky thing here is, as I was saying before, is it's such a weird sensation to take a breath and then let everything go and feel that compression at the resistance, wherever it is, whether it's poo, lip, coo. The body wants to engage against it. So if we get, the throat might want to go, the abdominals might want to grab, the intercostal, something might want to grab against it, versus and just dropping the tongue down. At the moment, Steve, when you're going to move the air, you're actually engaging. The brain is sending the message, right, kick the air at the tissue, because it's almost like reverse playing. The work is done on the air going in. No different to the work is done here. Here's the work. The job now is merely releasing. But at the moment, your brain's trying to throw the arrow. It's trying to kick the air. So I want you guys to recognize that the inhalation, that lateral expansion under the armpits, that's getting better. Right. So there is something in there that's trying to, oh, that's getting there. There's, trust me, this sensation of the release is so bizarre when we've just been playing our whole life, kicking, pushing, right? It's not that. It's a release, a release, a release, a release. I know some of you have got it. Yeah, Greg, move on. A lot of people don't. The air's in the body. Now, if we keep the abdominals and everything activated, there's no compression because there's nothing closed. It's at atmospheric pressure. The compression only happens when you relax the muscles around the lungs. That's where the compression comes from, and the air will come out unless there's something in the way. And in this case, it's the curve. It's such a weird feeling to just release the air rather than blow it when we've been doing it for so long, right? So, Steve, I'd get you to be walking around and really try and figure out. There's also something happening in the mouth. The mouth is just wanting to move when you're doing it as well. So there's just a couple of involuntary, unnecessary activations going on that we can easily fix. How? Well, we could do this. Jaws not moving, lips aren't moving. That's perfect process right there. So can you feel that there was more activating when you had the tissue in the lead pipe versus what you're doing now? Because now it's passive. Yeah, it's coming. There we go. So there's the flow. Now if I could get you to cut it off. And this is the other part that's real tricky for people, is to actually cut the air off again with the tongue. And there'll be teachers out there that say, never cut the note off with the tongue. It's nonsense. We don't go, it doesn't sound very nice. This is not a stylistic exercise. It's a technical development tool. But let me tell you, if you go to play St. Thomas and you don't cut the note off with your tongue, it's like, oh, that's nice, but it's not how to play it. Stylistically incorrect. You cannot play that without cutting the note off with the tongue. It's impossible. And this is not remotely denigrating to people at all. It's just fact. When you hear people that have played their entire life in orchestras, have never played commercial music, that's what they sound like when they go to play jazz, because they've never been taught to cut the note off with the tongue. And that's fine. As I said, if someone said, Greg, play the opening to Mahler 5, call the blooming ambulance and get the paramedics here, because I'll have a heart attack and die. Right? It's a different style. However, we should be able technically to do all styles, right? Plus, this is a great technical development tool, right? So we need to learn the sensation of the cutoff. And for things like I demonstrated before, that's just a mouth movement. This is literally breath in. There's nothing more involved. Right? Now you might notice the movement outwards on the high C. But what's going on is the zip's going and the aperture corners are going inwards. They're activating, whether they're moving inwards, who knows? I'm not in there. But it's the activation, you can feel it. And it's the tongue position. Remember, it's velocity, it's energy through the lips. And there's all this sound coming out. There's no body activation. It's crazy. And I show it over and over and over because the way I used to do it was this. Right? You can do that. It can work quite well. Doesn't feel very good, doesn't sound as good. Nowhere near as efficient. So then you get tired faster. When we understand how to keep the chin down, milk spout out, aperture corners in, bed sheet, arch tongue, let the energy through, not push the thing onto the chops and just let the energy flow, all of a sudden brass playing becomes easier. And when we hum, brass playing is no harder than humming, and I will take it to my grave, even though people will jump on my grave and call me the greatest snake-oil salesman of all time. Bring it on. It's just fact. It's just fact. Rightio. So that's coo. So if we do coo through the coo lip coo. Now K modified is tip of the tongue behind the finger. Ta 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 ta. Tomato. But the tip of the tongue, it's called anchor tonguing or K modified. Why K modified? When we say K, tip of the tongue behind the lower teeth. Say T with the tip of the tongue behind the lower teeth. Using, let's see if we can get lucky here. And cone of silence, for those of you that remember Get Smart, it's the great technology that never works. That's what this Prezi is, but it's working today so far. All right. Now, so it's the forward arch of the tongue. Tip behind the lower teeth. So what have we got there? Independent movement of the tongue without any abdominal contraction. Aperture corners independently moving, but synchronizing with the tongue. If I don't use the tongue, I'm going add the tongue. So there's all the mechanics of the trumpet playing system happening. The body is passive. Play like that, right? So what happens if we K modify tongue, tip of the tongue, behind the lower teeth, using that middle part, or I call it the forward arch of the tongue. Back of the tongue down out of the way, tip of the tongue behind the bottom teeth. This bit, roof of the mouth, right? Get the feeling of it with the lead pipe. See where the air's going. Pat, thank you, my friend. I'm not sure that there's going to be a session next week. We're still in, if it is, that'll be the last one for the year. If this is the last one for the year, thank you so much for your contribution, being part of the whole system and everything. Love your work. If I don't see you, have a great Christmas, and we'll see you next year. All the best. Rightio. So K modified. Now what you might find here with the tip of the tongue, the tongue's actually kind of, the arch of the tongue's going across the start of the lead pipe. That's fine. Then logic says if you're hitting That's great, Sean. Rocking. Yeah, Dan. Yeah. Yeah, Stephen, we got to. There's something grabbing somewhere. There's something grabbing back in the system. The throat must be getting involved somehow because there's a flow issue. Are you getting your tongue all the way down real fast? Down then up, down then up. Let's jump ahead for a second because I'd like to see what happens if you just use your regular tonguing and you were to do that. What would happen through the lead pipe into the tissue? There's just something that I'm really curious about.
I haven't tongued that way. I've been tonguing this way for 3 or 4 years now. So I don't have the old tonguing. I don't
Okay,
do that.
well, let's that's fine. But as I was saying before, the phenomenon of strangers, let's use the term because the issue that I'm having here, I'm just not seeing the impact in the tissue. That there's something. Yeah, there's something that's stopping that explosive reaction of the tissue that we should be seeing. That's getting better.
Would it make any difference that if he has his tissue not folded in half like mine is?
No, not. I mean, we can try it, but it still won't make. We could fold it in half, but even that will still get more of an impact. Yeah. Again, consider this. I'm getting more reaction from the balloon here. Do 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 do. Let's try that one more time. I'm seeing more impact here. That's getting better. So, Steve, when you say so you K modify all the time?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Can you please come, if you don't mind, can you please come up to the camera and just go for me? And again. Yeah, the tongue's not coming down far enough. You're going. It's not coming down to the toe, right down. Because once you get it down, you're going to increase the flow that's coming through, and you'll get. Yeah. Just do that. Charlie, mate, same thing. Have a great Christmas. Thank you for being involved. Love your work and stay in touch.
Greg.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Greg. Have a happy holiday, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, man. Ciao. Right. So, Stephen, I'm curious, what's the difference in sensation there? Because it's the first time you've done it, like getting that response.
Well, it is pulling the tongue down more.
Yep. Absolutely. It's just a flow issue. Great. So there's your 16/8. You can walk around and go, how far can I get the tongue down? And close the eyes and really feel the tongue being down all the way up. Full motion.
It's just going to really slow down my tonguing there for a while.
Yeah. Because there's a feeling attached to it, right? That will be a weird sensation for you, but you check out what happens to your sound once you start to implement that. Right? Love it. Okay. Great, awesome. And of course, the last one is just the regular traditional to attack, which is the tip of the tongue somewhere from the roof of the mouth. Then we should be able to get the same passive response. Yeah, Sean, rocking. So there's no reason why we can't get that same response without the lead pipe. If we do, it means that the angle, I reckon, Janet, that your angle's going down. We're not horizontal. I reckon working on this, it's going to require a little bit more milk spout. And it might, I certainly don't want the jaw being pushed forward. We get TMJ and all these sorts of things going on. But it's just that you can just get the airstream up a little bit. It will be enlightening, I reckon. Yeah, Bruce, that's rocking, man. Yeah, great. So that gives us plenty to work on for the holidays, folks. Really interesting stuff. Any questions, any thoughts, comments, any wins to take us out? Anything that you've discovered during the week?
I can't say for sure, but maybe that was getting me closer to the 2.0.
Love it. Right. Yeah, man.
Because I think I actually got kind of a note and wasn't moving my jaw or my lips forward. I think, but you could quote. Well, you know, it's an infancy.
Well, man, let's have another session when you've got time.
Whatever works best on your schedule.
Around this time, Tuesday, your time would be good.
Okay. Happy
actually,
to do that.
I think I've got 2 in the morning, but I could do. I've got 7, 8. So it's got to be just about 9 o'clock now. Oh, it's only 8:15. So in 45 minutes time, what's the time where you're at?
Hang on a minute. It's right now 2:16 p.m. So basically 45 minutes is 3 o'clock.
Can you
do that would work.
Tuesday 3 o'clock?
Tuesday 3 o'clock. Let me look. Let me confirm. I'll confirm with you via email. Just to confirm I'm not. I don't have a girlfriend saying, "Hey, you forgot about this gig or a doctor's appointment."
Understand.
Okay.
Rightio, bud. No worries. Sean,
Thank
yes,
you.
Champ. Pleasure.
Question for the K modified and the 2, in terms of application of the trumpet, because I am trying to move to the K modified as just a universal tonguing overall, because I don't use much tongue arch when I get into the upper register, which is a big whole issue. So what is, I guess, more of a kind of a pushback on you for that? Why do we do the 2 then?
Because for the drills, it's that whole sensation of strangeness. What people have what people have trouble with is actually getting the compression to the tongue and releasing it without kicking or without the throat closing. So I want people to focus on the tonguing that they don't use, right? Because it will give a different sensation to the sensation of that passive release. So if we can get it with an unfamiliar tonguing style, then when we go to do it with our regular, in your case, the K modified, you'll feel that passive release. It'll be more obvious to you because it's a more comfortable tonguing style. So the whole, I'll just pick this one up because it's here, beat up old flugel. Poo. Lip. Coo. K modified. Regular traditional terp roof of the mouth. They all sound slightly different. They all feel different, but having the awareness of the difference between all of them might just shed some light somewhere into the system where, oh shit, I'm grabbing that and I didn't even realize. Oh, that feels different. Oh, that feels. So it's just a way of data gathering for the intention of being more efficient. Yeah. Cool. Kirk.
When you pointed out that I instinctively move my head back and I should work on not doing that. Now, when you put the mouthpiece actually up to the lips, do you or should I first do the little bit of two beforehand, or should I just leave the lips in the regular position, put it kind of in the center, and then after it's already there, do the attack?
Well, depending, I call it phase of practice. What are we actually working on? What's the problem? And what's the solution? So, because the reason I say that, both of them are valid approaches depending on the purpose of what you're working on. Number one, setting and placing over the top. That's the way I do it in the course and in the handbook. It's set, place, and even the set might be the preset or the 3 set where you've got the air behind the tongue. And then release. So it's the set, place, release. Now, obviously, I don't want you doing that when you're playing the horn. When we're playing, it's not a habit that you want to get into, but it's a diagnostic drill.
Okay, that makes a lot.
Yeah, ultimately what we do is you put the mouthpiece on. Why set for a pitch when we haven't taken a breath yet? Because when we take a breath, the lips are going to move. So I see everyone sort of trying to get comfortable and sit and then take a breath. That makes no sense. Get the mouthpiece on. Well, anyway, and it'll move. When you take the breath, you know where it wants to be, right? Subconsciously, it knows where it wants to be, right? Because we've done a lot of this. That's where I want it. Once you've done that practice, we'll just put the mouthpiece on, breathe, then you set and release. Okay, does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah. And the more familiar we are with the shape, the easier it is. Putting the finger on the. When you start learning guitar, you've got to look down and find where the fret is, and you watch it. You put your finger there and you strum, and eventually you just go ding, 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 ding. You put your finger there and you strum, and you don't have to think about it. That's what we're working on. No RAM. So, yeah, both. Cool. Any other dramas, criticisms? Yes, Stephen.
Question I've had for a number of weeks now.
Yep.
A way that I check myself sometimes is I'll be playing, I'll pull the horn off, and if it's just air, then I feel like, okay, that's good.
Yep.
As I'm getting further along into higher and louder, there's times when I pull the horn off and it's buzzing. Is that wrong, or am I?
Well, above a high C, physics says, and Bob Reeves sort of said concert, but anywhere up there.
I'm not talking about anywhere near up there.
I realise that, so I'll engineer back. Sorry. So on a high C, it becomes a mouthpiece buzz. It becomes a amplifier of the mouthpiece buzz, right? But I would suggest that most people at an E to a G will start to buzz, start to have the mouthpiece buzz there.
On the staff, E to G.
Fourth space to G above the stave.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So this is where I flip from, because I don't want to get hung up on that, right? If the flexibility is good, the sound is good and consistent, and the feeling of freedom, there's no lock up in the throat. Now, I don't care if the lips are buzzing. If it's free, easy, sounds good, repeatable, efficient, that's that whole thing of, if this was to work, do this. If this was easier, play through your ear, squint, and I'm not fussed on the mechanics. So if the consistency of feeling, the consistency of sound is there, and you've got flexibility, it doesn't matter where it goes into that transition into the mouthpiece buzzing. It doesn't bother me. All I do know is that getting people to buzz initially in that low register. Again, this is not, I can do that all day long, but it's not what I'm doing when I'm playing, right?
Right.
So encouraging people to do that without knowing the fact that that closed up sound that the buzz makes, you hear it everywhere because of the psychology of the buzz. Soon as we open the sound up, there's no buzz, right? So just be more curious as you're going up. Just check in. But let me go. See about there, and notice the pitch drops straight away. Well, maybe I adjusted. So notice the minute that I pull the horn down, and then it stops, right? So it's the instrument itself that's making that happen. But the feeling of it, I can't tell the difference on the high C to the low C as far as the freedom of playing goes, because there's no resistance at that top lip. So whether that's stimulating a mouthpiece buzz or not, I'm not fussed about, right? It's the feeling of it and the consistency of sound. That's passive. Right? It's buzzing up there, but there's still no build up. There's still no backup. There's no, the body's getting involved a little bit, but it's not, right? It's not as much work as we think. And so I used to come from seriously when I was at college, I'm playing high C's and D's in the big band and squeaking out high G's and killing myself. And how I didn't get an aneurysm, I don't know. But I'm using full compression on a high C. Like there is no more body activation at my disposal, right? Throat's locked and tight between notes. It obviously opens when we're playing, but it's literally, and people go, Greg, you sound great. I'm like, I'm doing it all wrong. And if I don't figure it out, I'm going to throw this freaking thing and give up and do something else. It got to that point, right? So the whole approach to playing is different because they're saying use more air to play another octave. I'm like, I can't use more air. There's no more air to use. I'm using everything. Hence my confusion. Hence the term mystery to mastery. We're hopefully all trying to head somewhere towards mastery, but it was such a freaking mystery because none of it made sense. Nothing that I was being told made sense. Because when you're playing, doesn't matter what method it is, if you're playing it with that same psychology of that, it doesn't matter what books you're doing. It's just ink on a page. It's just notes. It's the feeling and it's the understanding of the system that enabled me to go, oh, hang on, I've been doing it wrong for 20 years. This is the thing. I meet people that have been playing for 50 years and go, why didn't I know this 50 years ago? You know, like, right. That's why I've built this course. I'm trying to get the word out there. Yeah, Sean?
Something that I've been thinking about, part of the reason that I found you was roughly the same thing of I'm working too hard. And I was pushing against my teeth. So when you're going through and you're going upper register stuff, are you feeling it on your teeth, or is it the ooh, the ooh?
It's the corners.
Is the cushion, and it's the okay.
I've seen the Zudi talk about it, Bergeron talk about it at masterclasses. They all saying the same thing. It's the Maggio, it's the getting the corners in, but of course the Maggio, I've seen people go way too far and to do that. But what it is, you might not have seen, but I had a couple of gigs recently with Morrison Big Band and Nina Simone's daughter Lisa and Ministry of Sound, and there was some range stuff in there. And now A's, I've always been able to play, but they've never been proper process, and I've never been that extreme a high note player. Like, hopefully I'm going to have Lewis Dowdswell on one of these sessions We were going to organise it last year and completely forgot about it. And then he reached out for something else recently and he goes, man, we were going to do a Sunday sessions and I've completely forgot. I'm up for it. Let's do it. So hopefully in the new year, we'll get Lewis on. I bring him on because he's the guy that can sit there and just shape, put air through it and double D's, oh, holy night, like you've never heard, you know. So I was working on my A's and I was really going full on mystery to mastery Windworks Spence approach. I spenced myself, right? So what's the thing that we're working on? The aperture corners coming in without the teeth closing, milk spout. And as we graduate from, say, low A to middle A to high A to double A, here's low A, here's middle A, here's A above the stove, here's double A. If we go in that way, all of a sudden I felt all of this activating that I'd never really paid much attention to before. Then I noticed that the arch tongue, low A, middle A, high A, double A, makes sense as far as velocity goes. So all of a sudden I'm working on, now that when I do that, looks like I'm blowing the heck out of it, but there's no engagement in the body. Aperture corners, and remember the drawstring effect. It still corners inwards. I did a masterclass with Adam Rapper, 5.5 hours in Copenhagen. I went first. I wasn't going to go after him. He organized it. He knew I was in town and said, let's do a masterclass because he loves what I do, which is really cool. But even at the end of his session, and we ran out of time, believe it or not, but he's doing this stuff going, yeah, I'm stretching my chops back when I play up high. Now, you've seen him play and he does have that going on. But I was about to jump in and go, dude, no, no, you're not. He's still doing he's still getting the work happening inside the chops. He's definitely not stretching his lips back, but his sensation is that because of what he feels, what he senses, right? But you tell anyone to do this out here and they're going to go stretch the lip tissue. He ain't. He's in. So then this is purely a science project. I'm not even going to blow here, create the shape. I know where the tongue wants to be. I know where the corners need to be. And I'm thinking, to answer your question, those aperture corners on the rim slightly higher than the equator. I feel them just grabbing a little high, which makes sense because the vibration, the string, little shorter, right? So that's going to oscillate at a higher frequency. But I'm not trying to do that. It just seems to be the natural progression. And when I'm playing the low A, I can actually now sense that it's below the equator. Versus, we're going to that position. So I can start and pick that now. I've never been able to do that. And there's no locking of the throat. There's no engagement. If I want to do it loud, then I've set the corners and I engage the body, keep this open, which is really weird sensation up there after so many years of playing like that. Once you know the shape, and this is what Wayne and Louie and those cats do, they know the shape and they just put air through it and it works. At this stage, I have to give thought to it. But I hadn't played for a few days. I came in before Sunday sessions last night and I started playing Three Blind Mice, passively starting on a double A. So I'm literally going up to the F. I can't play Fs above double C, but I know physically kind of how it would work. So squeaking around there, based on what I'm talking about, pictures come out, right? You try and blow hard to develop it. Good luck. Doesn't work. Doesn't work, but you can squeak around up there when we're working on this. But there's definitely, because of the extreme compression that's behind it, you need as much pressure as to not have a leak. To pressure to have this,
pressure to,
right?
pressure to seal. That's it.
That's it, right? Absolutely. Yeah. On that note, I wish you a Merry Christmas, everyone. And thank you for being involved in WindWorks. I'm going to create a link, and hopefully next year I really want to get this growing. So I'm going to send a link to everyone. If you could share it around, that would be terrific, but it's going to take some work to do that. I think it's really important stuff. And even if you've got people that, I know it's kind of like talking politics or religion or anything, you start and go down this path and, oh, you've been talking to that Spence guy. I get it. I get it. However, with the right information shared in the right way, I beg people, I will hop up on any stage anywhere in the world with anyone, and if they say, well, you got to blow faster to play higher, I'll go, well, you can do that, but that's not what's happening. It doesn't bother, because I can demonstrate it, I can explain it. It's just a cognitive dissonance that's going on. And so what I'm trying to punch through, that's why I'm sort of a bit edgy on these ads, is to try and get people to think that there is a different way of doing it. It's with your guys' help that we can, you know, start and spread the word. So thank you all. Thank you. Have a great Christmas. See you in the new year. Emails will come out, and it's been awesome. Thank you. Ciao.